So before you start dating, I think it's important that you are ready to enter into a relationship that has the ultimate goal of getting married. I think you should never go into a relationship without having the goal in mind, or at least in the near future, to know, okay, hey, we're going to get married.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, all this romantic feelings, it will just build up so much that you will not be able to carry it around with you anymore without going a step too far.
Yeah.
And so, for example, if you like somebody and you think about, hey, let's get together, and it's still 10 years until there's some chance of you being married, out of my point of view, it's not a good idea
Yeah.
to even start dating now. You can be friends, you can talk, but just keep it on a friendship level. Because if you're not ready spiritually or also maturity wise, it doesn't make any sense to start a relationship.
Ladies and gents, welcome to Voices of Life, the podcast with topics related to the apostolic faith in the 21st century. Let's talk about what interests you here on Voices of Life.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Voices of Life. We are so happy that you are with us today again, that you tuned in. Today we are only the three of us, Justin, Sebastian, and me. Our pastor is not here, but still we're talking about an interesting subject, and we find our verse today in Proverbs 31 and 10. It says, "Who can find a virtuous woman? For her price is far above rubies." And it goes on to say that her husband can trust in her, the children are happy with her, she's taking care of the house. So having a wife, a good wife, is a very precious thing. But before you can ever find a wife, you have to go through the process of dating, or as some call it, courtship. So we are talking today about how is that working, what exactly is that, what are our things that we think you should take care of, boundaries that we should watch. And we just start with dear Sebastian, because he's not out of that courtship dating game for such a long time. So we start with him.
Well, I've been married in 7 days, I think, for 2 years. So I don't know if I can remember more than 2 years past, but I'll try.
Wow.
No. But no, yeah, it's
Because
true.
your life started when you got married.
Wow.
It really changed a lot, you know. And sometimes I feel like, how was it even, you know, without her? Like, it feels like that's my life, you know. So
That's
like,
so cute.
how's my life?
That is so cute.
Aw.
You don't have to sleep on the couch tonight.
Not tonight. Not tonight.
Yeah, well, I always was a little bit the romantic one, I have to admit. So my goal was always that I will marry my first girlfriend, you know. In my head, I always said the first girlfriend that I will have, I want it to be my wife. And God heard my romantic wish, my heart, and my prayer maybe. Yeah, that's how it happened. So and it was even different than that, because my wife, when we got together, it was different than this girl-boyfriend relationship that I had imagined when I thought of it in the past, because it was something with much more commitment already, you know. It was nothing where we were just boy and girlfriend because we liked each other and we found out and somehow we got together. But it was like we found out that we like each other, and we found out that we want to become something serious. And we found out that the Lord approves of it. And for these reasons, we really, you know, like form a relationship. And it was so different even than what I imagined, you know, just being together for some time, because that's how we observe it. You get together, you know, and in the world you are together for some years, and maybe it works or it doesn't. Then you get the next girlfriend. And so this whole concept of boy and girlfriend, how we know it from society, it was actually completely challenged, or it was not what I experienced. The Lord did it differently than, you know, that version of boy and girlfriend that we know from outside there. Yeah, so how did we start dating is the actual question, of course.
That's right.
Yeah, but the thing is, we did not have the typical, that was something that fell down. I don't know if you could hear that in the recording. We did not have a typical dating phase, or we did, but it was very short. So I'm going to explain you how it was. My wife and I, we knew each other for quite some years already, and we were friends. And then at some point, I'm going to make it very short and skip a lot, but it's okay. We found out that we like each other. shortly before that, we started having video calls, you know. So like we were meeting maybe once in a week and just talking, you know, about different things, having conversations a lot, also in text messages, and during these conversations, of course, we found out things about each other, and that's what I would call
One
dating.
side note: she was in another country, right? So
Yeah, I had a
it was a
distant
long
relationship with her. Exactly. That's why I'm saying video call,
Yeah, just-
because she was not available, you know, to meet in person, and also it was COVID, so even less, even less. And so that's what I understand, you know, when I hear dating. I understand that you get to know a person, and I also understand that you have very clear intention and pure intention if you want to do it the right way. So very early we already talked about it once, that we imagine that if we ever get together with someone, that we will that will be a serious intention behind it. You know, not to play around, not to have just a relationship and then see what, you know, what will it be, but to have serious intention from the beginning.
Yeah.
And so that's what I think you should have if you go and date.
Yeah.
You should think, okay, I'm doing this because I'm considering her to be my wife or the mother of my children, or opposite, the father of my children. Is that person fit for it? You know, and have a serious intention and a pure intention, meaning you're not going after that person out of lust or, you know, because you're just attracted. Of course, you should like the person, and that would be good. But, you know, you're not going after her to win her, so to say, you know, because in the world nowadays, guys talk like, you know, they even boast like with how many girls they have slept around with, or how many they have kissed, or whatever, you know, or how many like them. And you're not going after someone for any of those worldly, sinful intentions. You're going out of pure intentions. And so, yeah, that's what I would say, what is important once you start dating.
Yeah.
But actually, you can prepare for dating already before you have a person that you are dating. But I talked so much. Maybe someone of you wants to say, like, what would be things that you recommend to do before,
You want to start? You look.
or
you
to
look ready.
have, you know?
You look ready.
Like because, for example, do we want to? I did.
Just keep going.
I did. No, you were silent.
Yeah, because you're still talking.
No, I mean your whole face was looking.
People, please listen to this episode and tell us if Sebastian was still talking.
Please do. Yeah.
There was a very short silence.
Time out. You go.
And
you
this
go.
face.
Time
look
out.
Away.
So before you start dating, I think it's important that you are ready to enter into a relationship that has the ultimate goal of getting married. I think you should never go into a relationship without having the goal in mind, or at least in the near future to know, okay, hey, we're going to get married.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, all this romantic feelings, it will just build up so much that you will not be able to carry it around with you anymore without going a step too far.
Yeah.
And so, for example, if you like somebody and you think about, hey, let's get together, and it's still 10 years until there's some chance of you being married, out of my point of view, it's not a good idea to even start dating now. You can be friends, you can talk, but just keep it on a friendship level. Because if you're not ready spiritually or also maturity-wise, it doesn't make any sense to start a relationship. Because first of all, if you cannot build a relationship with Jesus Christ, who should be our priority in our lives, and you're unable to build that relationship with him, how can you build a relationship with anybody else? Because Jesus loves you no matter what. He's always there for you. He's your best friend. He's your savior. And he's perfect in everything he does. He never hurts you. He never makes a mistake. So if you can love and appreciate and build a relationship with that perfect being, how can you build a relationship with an imperfect being who will hurt you, who will, sometimes lie to you, who will break your heart in some cases? How can you be forgiving and love that person if you cannot love God?
Yeah. And I can talk about that because when I met my wife, I was like 15, 16. So I wasn't spiritually as into it as I should be. So I just went into this relationship with 16 years old, just thinking mostly what Sebastian was saying, lustfully, or more like, oh, I have a girlfriend because I have a girlfriend, and not really having a vision behind it. And also to that point, maturity. Also, I didn't have a plan because I mean, with 16, mostly you try to figure out life or just figure out school. So that's also a big thing that you should also actually look at is to have a plan, to not just get into a
yes.
relationship without a plan. Like, okay, you have a job. Okay, you want to keep that job? Do you want to do something? Do you want to do something else after that job? Did you study already for the job you want? Have a vision. Of course, the Lord can come into your life and change it up, but it's always good to have a plan, of course. So because without a plan, going to something can also lead to disaster. So, yeah. So back to what you said about having not. Yeah, having I'm out now.
Well,
said
then
just
let
at a
me
point. Yeah,
jump in
yeah, jump in.
because you know what you said is important because if you actually want to marry, you
Yeah.
need to be someone who's able to provide also,
Of
like who
course, yeah.
stands in real life.
Yeah.
That's also why, for example, I got a requirement that I take care of what do I study and how do I earn money during it. So I do something right now still that is called a duales studium. You know, I'm studying and working both. And that was a requirement that my pastor told me,
Yeah.
and because it's necessary, because now when you marry, you don't think just for yourself anymore, and you're not living in the house of your mom and dad anymore.
exactly, yeah.
Like you start a different life.
Yeah.
And so if you think about dating, then you gotta grow up and
Exactly.
start standing in that life, because otherwise you will make it much harder for the person if you still have to learn those things, or you are chaotic, or don't have a job, like you don't want
Yeah.
to put that on your future spouse.
You don't, yeah, because like I said, it's just more stress and more disaster that comes into the way. So yeah, always be prepared. Just you don't have to have a plan and just oh, that's gonna be the plan no matter what, because like we said before, the Lord can change up, but just have a plan just to be safe and secure. And to actually have a realistic plan as well, of course. That's also
Yeah.
because a lot of people, they dream and talk about, oh yeah, in 2 years we're gonna have a house, a mansion, and then 3 kids. Well, do you have the financial resources for that? Do you actually have the job for that? Are you actually qualified to actually get that much money to build that mansion? Because that also can just lead to frustration as well. So yeah,
That's right.
Yeah,
It's good points. Yeah.
Yep.
So that's what you ought to consider before you even enter
Yeah.
into the dating phase. So be prayerful, be mindful, be prepared, be how some call it marriage material.
Yeah.
Prepare to be marriage material.
Yeah. That's
Have a job, have a plan. If you don't have a job, have a plan. Okay, how do I, like Sebastian said, okay, what do I study? Where do I go to? Is there a way? And also, don't build your future around future maybe spouse.
Yeah,
Yeah,
very good.
because some people, they're like, okay, well, I'm gonna do this, but only if I have that girlfriend. Well, I'm gonna do it a little different. I'm not gonna study for 3 years. I'm just gonna do like an internship for a year or something, and then I'm gonna be able to work, and then I'll be able to earn money quicker, then I can get married earlier. And that's building your life around a spouse that is not even there yet, that God might not have intended for the next year, but for the next 5 years,
Yeah,
7
exactly.
years,
Yeah.
when you're done with everything that you ought to do. So be careful that you are in the will of God and doing what you ought to do. Like Adam did in the beginning. When God created Adam, Adam was working. Oh, yes, he was working. Work is not a curse of sin. They worked before sin.
True.
So work.
true.
He worked in the garden. He named the animals. He took care of the plants. He was having a relationship with God. And that's when the wife came.
Yeah.
Not before all of that. And then it built up together in some kind of romantic,
Yeah.
beautiful way. But it was there before. And Eve just joined his way.
Yeah.
She was not the way with him.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
be prepared.
Be
And then
prepared,
when you
yes.
enter into that dating phase, what do you say, guys? What should you watch out for? How should you go about it when you started, like that starting point? You're prepared now, and you feel, hey, I get feelings for that girl or that boy, depending on who's listening. But for us, you get feeling for that girl. What do you recommend? How should you go about that?
You go.
I think that you should make sure that you talk to people about it and don't just secretly or without telling anyone start something with any person. First of all, I would do the check that you can do yourself and ask yourself, is that person one person that has the same goals like I do? For example, someone from the world is not at the right place for you if you are from church, because someone from the world does not share your love for God and everything. So that person first has to go to God, to
Yeah.
get to God before it even should come into considerance for you.
Definitely. Yeah.
So you should reach out to that person and pray and stuff and see if there's a hunger for God, and if you can save that person before you start anything like dating or romantic with the person. That's what I would say. And then also, just think, okay, could it maybe really be realistically, just like, and if you think, yeah, realistically it could be, I can imagine it, then go to someone like your pastor or leadership and go to talk about what do you think, because he's the man of God, or and they know things from God that you maybe don't know, and they also have a view on you, they also know you, if you probably, I mean, if you're not completely new or something like that. And so he will tell you then how to continue and what to do, and if it's already the right time or not, if you should still pray about it, and he will pray about it also.
Of course, yeah.
That's what I would say is then the first thing that you should do, right?
Yeah. Also, not only to your pastor, but also to your family members. Maybe
Yes.
to your father, to your mother, or also to the father or mother from the person you like. Because if you in this podcast or in this episode, we're talking about having a relationship with the intention of getting married. Actually, so it's also wise to also have not the 100% blessing, but a little blessing from those parents, because at the end of the day, I mean, of course, we don't know if it will happen, if it will take it, but it's still a sort of respect that you show also to their parents.
Yeah, I also think you should ask them at some point. I think before you go to them to talk about anything, I would still say go to the pastor first.
Of course,
But
definitely.
Once it's actually getting somewhere, because you have a blessing from a pastor and God's confirming it, and something is starting, you are dating, then I also agree, like, show respect, because it's the daughter or the boy of parents, if possible. It's not always possible.
That's true. That's if it's possible, of course. But yeah, of course, like you said, pastor first, and then also, like I said, not only the parents of the other person, but also your parents, because they also see a point of view or see a side of you or know a side of you that other people maybe don't see. Even
true.
the pastor maybe sees a side, or I mean, parents see a side that the pastor doesn't even see. So that's also important to actually ask them. You think it's a wise choice? Do you think I'm ready for it? And they will also give you, because they want the best for you as well. So they don't just don't tell you something that you want to hear. They want actually the best for you. That was the situation with my wife. Now, before we got married, years before, we still wasn't ready. And my mom, she actually told me that. When I asked, well, I want to get married to this girl, and she was like, I don't know if you're ready. I don't know if she's ready, And I was mad too. I was like, man, what you just hating, so to speak. But she actually saw that I wasn't ready, that I was ready for a marriage in the next 1-2 years, because I had other stuff that I had to do first to actually get ready. So it's always good to have people that are close to you, especially family members, and also people who are spiritually with the Lord, to ask them, not the whole world. Don't go to through the whole church and ask your best friend and be like, oh, what do you think? You think I'm ready for marriage? Yeah, of course I'm ready for marriage, man. No. Go to the people who can actually give you also something, who can actually critique you, who can actually say, no, you're not ready for that and that reason. So, yeah.
Yeah. And then I would continue. What I think is good then when you are actually starting, that dating.
Yeah.
I can say that there are some good books that can help you to ask the right questions about each other. There's a book, for example, it's from Gary Chapman. I'm saying it now because maybe you want to specifically know when you hear this. It's called Things I Wish I Had Known Before I Got Married. But there are other books like that are also good. And it just gives you really important questions that you should deal with before, making that commitment to a person. And because sometimes I see people and they are like, I don't know what to talk about, or they talk only about superficial things. But these kind of talks, they get you ready to talk about some things that will matter, like sincerely, when you want to live with a person. And so that's what I can recommend. take a book like that, or another book. I mean, I'm just saying it is now. I think 8 Dates. It's called. I haven't gone through that though because I'm going through it right now with my wife.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
But
cool.
you can
Yeah,
do it
yeah.
even when you're married.
Yeah, yeah.
It's just things that help you get to know a person, and
yeah.
that's what I think what dating is about. That you want to get to know things to be able to then say, okay, yes, I'm choosing you
Yeah.
above everyone else and
Yeah.
for this whole life.
Mm.
That's a big thing.
Yeah, that's a big thing.
It's a beautiful thing also
yeah.
when you do it. But yeah.
So how deep should you go in that dating phase? Like you're dating, and then of course sooner or later you pop the question, and you get engaged. So everything before being engaged, so just that dating phase. How deep should you go? Like you mentioned that now 8 dates and things I would have liked to know before I
Yeah.
get married. So should you already do that in dating?
Well, in a few aspects, of course, what the person imagines for the future, that sort of stuff. What is actually the vision? If it's at work or in church, stuff like that. Well, there are also some points you shouldn't probably talk about just yet, like I would say sexual things, maybe like your fantasies or whatever, because that can actually also lead you to a point where you just say, well, let's try it out then, like stuff like that. So there's some stuff, like I said, sexual things that is maybe a point that you should not go over yet. Maybe when you're married, or maybe like days before you actually get married, then you can maybe talk about it, but not when you're in the dating phase. But of course, other aspects like I said, especially future aspects should be talked about very much so, I think.
Yeah, it's good that you asked that question, Stephen, because I haven't gone through that 8 Dates book, for example. So I don't want to recommend it here right now because maybe it's not actually, suitable. Because I also think that some topics are, reserved for a bit later, not in the beginning when you just want to get to know each other. I do think you can, or maybe even should, also talk in some way about, normal sex. It's a topic that you can talk about in a way, but
I think it depends because.
But you know what I mean? I already see myself being misunderstood. What? And for sure not in the beginning. Okay, now okay.
Yeah.
It's you guys. You have to understand. It went also quick with how I got together with when I got together with my wife,
Yeah.
and so before I married her, I also talked about that in a way that I just said, wanted to know that she also knows that it exists. And knows that it's something that is part of marriage. What I mean?
What, sex?
Yeah, you want? Okay. What I mean? What I mean?
And under 18 left the room.
No, I don't mean literally that she knows that it exists, but just that it's clear. Okay, if I marry someone, I imagine that we have it, and that and because there are even stories like people using it as. For especially women, I think, using it to manipulate men,
Okay.
and there are biblical values about it. And I came from that side, the Bible says if you are married, then you own each other, and you cannot, just withdraw yourself and manipulate the other or do bad things like that. So I was not going in any details, talking, about sex in that sense. I just wanted to make sure that she also understood these values and is living biblically also in that area.
Of course,
once we get married. So that's all that I meant. Why I wanted to say it's not completely a topic that you can never talk about before,
No,
But,
I mean, what I mean is, actually having talking about stuff that you want to do in the bedroom, stuff like that.
No, never.
That's what I
never,
meant.
ever.
That's I mean, of course, you can talk about sex. Yeah, about sex, but not in a way where you just turn yourself on. That's what I mean.
Yeah.
I
Oh,
meant with it,
never, yeah.
That you
No.
don't be like, oh yeah, that sounds good. We can also do this. We can also try this. That's what I
Yeah.
meant. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. I got it.
Well,
Yeah, I think you did good with that explanation.
okay.
Yeah, after that, because before I was like,
Yeah, I
okay,
felt
yeah,
it
yeah,
like
yeah.
the stares that came at me. I was like, oh, what did I get myself into? It's not, we don't talk about this topic for good reasons normally publicly in a place like this, but I did it now. So yeah,
That was a good explanation.
Yeah,
Thank you very
think
much.
it's good. I mean, I think it's good that you mention it
Yeah.
because it is not self-explanatory. I think especially in Christian areas. I mean, for people in the world, I mean, they do it before marriage, after like whatever.
Yeah.
They don't care because
Yeah.
they don't value it that
Yeah.
much. But yeah, just imagining. I mean, I think when you imagine that to have two virgins entering into marriage,
Mm.
and just imagine that first time. I mean, people who had their first time already, they will probably know. Okay, it's awkward.
Yeah.
It's not perfect like
Mm.
you see it in movies or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's important that you know what you're getting yourself
Yeah,
into
of
and what you
course.
expect
Yeah,
from each other. And I
definitely.
think that's a very important point.
Mm.
What do you expect from each other?
Yeah, that makes
And
sense.
that, that both know, okay, hey, this is what the other one expects from me. Am I willing to go with that?
Yeah.
Or am I saying, no, that just doesn't fit.
Mm-hmm.
That's not what I live, what I believe, what I want to go with. So I think it's a very important point
Yeah.
that you mention it and that you
Okay.
talk about it.
Thank you. So I don't feel, so red and blushed anymore.
Well, you still do, but that's okay. It's no problem.
At least
it's
a bit
not.
calmed
It's
down.
not like thousands of people listen right now. So,
Yeah.
Not yet.
amen.
Hallelujah. Yeah.
And I think that's good, so that you don't go too deep. That there are some subjects that are off limits that you should not, that turn you on, that just bring you in the wrong direction. And so, just setting boundaries, saying, "Hey, this is the boundary that we put in,
Yeah.
and do it." And that's my opinion, my recommendation. Do it before you enter into a relationship. Yeah, think about it before you started to say, okay, these are my boundaries. This is what I won't do. These are things that I say I want to keep myself from, or I want to save for my marriage. I want to save for when I'm engaged, and put it on a list, write it down, and share it.
Yeah.
Share it, and in this case, you could share it with as many people as you want to, because the more the more the possibility is that they'll be around you when things might get a little more spicy than you want it to.
Yeah.
Because, for example, if your friends don't know, okay, holding hands is wrong for you. Like you set the boundary, hey, I don't want to hold hands with my future wife until I am engaged with her. And then they see you, maybe you're sitting on a couch or something and you're holding hands. They'll be like, hey, didn't you say you don't want to do that? Like, is that not a boundary? Because when you are in love and of course the feelings, you get attracted to that person, sometimes it just overpowers you.
Yeah.
And it just out of the feeling, oh yeah, I'm gonna do it now. It's not that bad.
Yeah.
But when you have a clear mind, it's like, oh no, I don't want to go there because I know what it does with me personally inside of me. So I think it's very important to have that boundaries clear and also communicated, where we have your point again, Sebastian, to have it communicated that the other one knows that they don't feel bad or excluded or not loved because they want to hold your hand. You're like, oh no, I'm not doing that. Get away from me. Yeah. So that wouldn't make sense, because she might be like, why don't we do it? Because she might be used to it. It's like, okay, that's what I always did in relationships. And then in this, not, why is that? Why are you so strange about it? Don't you love me? When you don't have that communicated
And
before.
actually, it's exactly because you love her that you have that boundary. In many cases, because
Hopefully, yeah.
It's also not only about yourself,
Exactly,
like what
Yeah.
are my boundaries.
Yeah.
It's also about protecting that soul and
Yeah.
that other person, and
Yeah.
Very good,
so
yeah.
it's done out of love if such boundaries are put in place. And you also shouldn't be the only one who puts boundaries for your life in that topic. You should have a pastor.
True. That's right.
About yourself, that
Yeah.
and he, I'm sure if you have a pastor from an apostolic church, then he will also have some boundaries, concerning that topic, and
Yeah.
so whatever that is, obey to it, stick to it, because it's important that we obey there and don't and have accountability also. So if you ever mess up, which is okay because we are not perfect,
Yeah.
then have the courage and the humility, I guess,
Yeah.
to go and confess it and talk about it and make it open, so it cannot, grow into something more ugly. Yeah.
Sin grows in darkness. That's right.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Amen.
so be better safe than sorry, so to say.
Yeah.
Very true.
Better more boundaries than not enough.
Yeah.
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 This way, if you overstep one, then there's still the next one that you could overstep, and you're still not,
Going to,
going
Down the hill.
down the hill.
Very good,
Exactly.
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, these are some basics, like suggestions if you want to date, right? Like those are important things that we
Yeah.
said.
If you want
Exactly.
to date right, yeah. If you want to have
Of
a future wife, husband, Do it right.
If you yeah.
And
why-
of course, these are all just suggestions out of our experience, out of what we experience in our ministries or in our own lives. So anytime if your pastor has some other rules about it, regulations, boundaries about it, it's more important what he says than what we say. So it's not about, oh well, but the people on the podcast said we could do this or that. That does not never outweighs what your pastor says. So that's just important to say. Now listen to your man of God because he's watching over your soul. It's not us. We are just there to speak our opinion and give advices, experiences that we have. Or we feel that God also showed us and guided us to do. And I hope it helped you. I hope it helped. I think it helped me. It was great talking to you guys.
Thank you. It
I
was.
think it was a great time, and we already hit the 30-minute mark again. So I'm going to wrap it up here, if that's okay with you, in case you want to say anything else that's like,
Well, there was nice. Yeah, we're good. We're good.
I mean, we are well aware that this topic is much bigger and a very interesting topic. So we are very open to do another episode if you wish for it. Yeah.
comment, put a comment under it, and also maybe some topics that we did not encounter right now with it, where you say, oh, I have a question about this. How is this? What is this? Write it under this video or write it as a comment in the podcast, as a review. We would like to have a great review if you liked it, of course. If not, write what you didn't like because it helps us to grow. But if you liked it, give us a like, give us great stars. We would be happy, and also happy to have you next time with us again here on Voices of Life. Have a good day. God bless.
God bless you.
Until next time.